June 20th, 1969. Although the footage was fake due to the inability to transfer film through the Van Allen radiation belts, Apollo 11 successfully lands on the moon, in which Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin discover multiple building structures, several towers, a pyramid, and over a dozen hovering UFOs who observe their activities.
UFOs have captivated the public interest for decades, but they've always been dismissed, including by me, as the province of wackos. But that is changing thanks to some remarkable videotape and first-hand accounts from very sober people who are trained to identify aircraft. And that would include this video. It shows two Navy pilots encountering something bizarre off the east coast of the United States.
Upon returning to Earth, Aldrin, Armstrong, and lunar module pilot Michael Collins are all forced to sign a non-disclosure agreement only 5 minutes before their press conference, in which their disdain for their forced secrecy is evident.
We will use a number of films and slides which most of you have already seen, and with the intent of pointing out some of the things that we observed on the spot, which may not be obvious to those of you who are looking at them here from the surface of Earth.
They had this film, and it purported to be a landing. There was 3 crafts had come in. The film cameras were all set up at Holloman Air Force Base. They knew these things were coming in, and the one came down, the other 2 stayed up, and it landed on the tarmac, and a bunch of high-ranking officials came. These aliens came out of the spacecraft. This is all being filmed, and then they walked down the tarmac to a building on Mars Avenue at Holloman Air Force Base, and they had a meeting or whatever they did there.
The U.S. Navy is preparing new guidelines for pilots on how to report sightings of UFOs.
For many years, it was considered a career ender to report these unexplained encounters, so many military personnel had downplayed them, Shep.
Well, here's a kind of amazing fact that should be on the front page of every paper. A secret Department of Defense program paid for researchers to run psychological evaluations on people who said they'd encountered UFOs. Apparently, warehouses were rented. It sounds kooky, but this is actually being reported by the New York Times, where metal from downed UFOs could be stored. What? When did that happen, and why did nobody tell us?
1971. Newly elected U.S. President Richard Nixon orders what would be the 4th of 5 known military strikes against an extraterrestrial aircraft as the USS Trepang submarine attacks and destroys a massive cigar-shaped UFO that suddenly appeared on the Trepang starboard side during its classified journey between Iceland and Norway. April 3rd, 1971. Based on the Trepang incident, President Nixon orders the classified creation of the United States Space Force. In the next 9 years, with the assistance of private contractors, the United States industrial military complex would make unprecedented leaps in technology, specifically with Solar Warden, a spacecraft that could hold a crew of 200, as well as the TR-3B anti-gravity reconnaissance aircraft, as demonstrated in the following footage.
new reports, 5 pilots coming forward over the weekend saying they've had multiple mid-air encounters with high-flying, fast-moving objects. Gio, the Navy is now investigating?
They are, Cecilia. Yeah, a lot of these UFOs have been captured on video, some of them over water, and now at least one pilot says he saw them daily.
The New York Times speaking with 5 Navy pilots who've all said they've encountered UFOs during training missions up and down the East Coast. The pilots even noting that the objects were accelerating to hypersonic speed, making sudden stops and instantaneous turns, something beyond the physical limits of a human crew.
June 16th, 1977. Werner von Braun dies of pancreatic cancer in Alexandria, Virginia. On his deathbed, von Braun warns of a false flag fake alien invasion that will be presented to the world by the United States in order to unite mankind under one single governing body known simply as the New World Order.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
We have before us the opportunity to forge a new world order. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders, of the UN's founders, of the UN's founders.
And even though it was more of a warning than it was a prediction, Skyfall has consistently claimed that the industrial military complex controls who the sitting U.S. president will be and how many terms he will have. And for this reason, Skyfall says that Trump will consistently be pressured to lead mankind back into an era of nuclear proliferation, because the leaders of the industrial military complex believe that when the real alien invasion comes, victory for mankind will be secured through the way of the nuclear bomb. Now, for what it's worth, I don't think Trump wants us in a war. In fact, I saw an interview one time where he was basically saying there's some people on the inside that they're pushing me, and that's what they want. They want war.
We have tremendous power economically. If I can solve things economically, that's the way I want it.
So you can reassure people you're not looking for some kind of conflict in Iran. And
well, I'm the one that talks about these wars that are 19 years and people are just there. And don't kid yourself, you do have a military-industrial complex. They do like war. And don't kid yourself, you do have a military-industrial complex. They do like war. And don't kid yourself, you do have a military-industrial complex. They do like war.
And Skyfall's final prediction involved the Space Force. And despite the fact that there's yet to be a single military conflict in space involving the United States in any way, Skyfall says that Trump will continue to ramp up his talks about the Space Force and what it will be, in which he will speak about it in a growing and militarized fashion. And that is exactly what's happened.
With my signature today, you will witness the birth of the Space Force, and that will be now officially the 6th branch of the United States Armed Forces. That is something really incredible.